All right. So, hi, this is Adam Simmons with Project Geospatial. This is Late Night Geo. So, Late Night Geo is our segment, Project Geospatial's series on just bringing people on, having general discussion about the industry, technology, best practices, whatever people want to talk about. We'll bring people in, just have a general conversation. So, welcome everybody. Tonight we have Patrik Pearson, who yesterday hit me up and was willing to come on with us to just have a general discussion and see where it goes. Patrik, go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what's going on with you, and how does that relate to the geospatial industry?
What's going on, guys? I'm Patrick. I go to Kent State University. I'm going to be a junior there coming up in September. Geography major with a GIS minor. I think I got into it because my brother. He got me into it. He told me about it. I seem interested. He told me about the UC, so figured out how to get out there and went up to UC last year. Fell in love with it. Fell in love with everything that they had there, and started my studies at Kent last September.
Excellent. And just to clarify, your brother is Jeff Pearson at GIS_dog, and he's actually been on the series a few months ago. Had an excellent late night discussion with him. He was one of the first people on Late Night Geo. So with that said, so what classes are you taking? You said you mentioned cartography, correct?
Yeah. So right now I'm taking, it's actually called Mapping Our World, and it's pretty much just an introductory to cartography. We're learning about the chloropleth maps, different thematic maps like that. And right now, today I actually had to look at a map of the COVID in North America, and it's just pretty much breaking down the map itself. Looking for the North Star, the North Point, showing where it's pointing north, the legends, stuff like that.
So basically, Maps 101. That's essentially what it is, right?
101 right now.
So what are you hoping this will give you? What are you hoping to take away from this? Where do you hope to go from there? Are you interested in cartography at GIS specifically, or is this just going to be a extracurricular for you?
So when I was at UC last year, I saw the maps that they make. And some of these cartographers are unreal. The things that they could do with maps, especially the one that caught my eye the most was the Firefly maps. Just the way they light up everything and the dark backgrounds with bright symbols or dot maps, whatever they're using. I thought that was really cool. And then I took this cartography class, and I was like, this is not for me, because it is just way too detailed, and there's so much stuff that you gotta input, and it's just when you look at a map, you want it to be perfect, and something like that is just not for me. But I have all respect for cartographers, because the stuff that they can do with it is awesome.
Great. No, so I mean, cartography actual map making itself is definitely an art. It's I'd say so. So I'm more of a geospatial and imagery analyst. I got my roots into looking at satellite, aerial, and it would just imagery from drones, aircraft, and satellites, right? And from that perspective, my job was to interpret what was on those images. I got some really good training with the Air Force, 6 months of it initially. Tech school is pretty much like a 2 years of trade school crammed into 6 months. They taught you everything you needed to know to identify through multiple sensor types what was on the images, identifying critical infrastructure, what types of buildings that you can see. You might think it's you're looking from a satellite image. A lot of people are used to looking at that from Google Maps perspective, but That wasn't necessarily widely available from a imagery from the image perspective of the Earth view back then. That wasn't very mass distributed. So, but even looking at things from the top down at different types of facilities, power plants or just refineries, just to look at it and just kind of know this is a power plant. What are the components of this? Not just is there cars here, that type of thing. Sometimes what type of military vehicles are you seeing? Some things like tanks can be pretty easy, at least from my perspective, but looking at a different sensor type like radar could be a mess. So regardless, it's interpreting is a different tradecraft than map making. I have a lot of respect for cartographers too, because honestly, they got to have a lot of patience doing what they do, making it look good, interpreting what you see from a more of an abstract perspective goes a lot farther because you're literally almost not say making it up, but it wasn't snapshotted with a sensor. Yeah, they're actually drawing it from scratch, and I have a lot of respect for those folks, and that's definitely a skill that I'm definitely not in that league. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So I wouldn't say don't lose hope with the industry. I think there's a lot of interesting aspects of the geospatial or geography realm that you might be interested in. So if you just like the aspect of location, figuring out where things are, they can go down a lot of route. I'm sure your brother has kind of give some hints on that one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what kinds of software they have you messing with to go along with that?
So right now, today we use the Brewer. I forgot the whole name was. It was the Brewer side. It was the Cynthia Brewer created it from Penn State, and we were using that today to use to input like different classes. So we look at a map and it would give you like the polygons, and you would like shade it in different colors. Then you'd have to add like the cities, the streets, and stuff like that.
So nothing commercial. So something built in house from a different college, something open source, perhaps. Yeah. Interesting.
And then we used another one because we're looking at a COVID map as well. That came from Johns Hopkins University.
Yeah, so Johns Hopkins maps that COVID map is built off of Esri's. I believe it's ArcGIS Online. So
I learned. I'm not very familiar with it. I've fooled around with it a little bit here and there. Actually, when I was at the UC, I did a bunch of workshops there, trying to just like get a feel for it. So I've dabbled with that a little bit.
So you're entering your junior year in college, correct?
Yeah, so I was at a small little school in Maine because I'm a hockey player as well. So I like to play hockey. So I went to Maine, did 2 years out there. It was a small little school. I had to get my GPA up a little bit. Transferred out to Kent State. I saw, they have a really good geography program out there. So I did 2 years up in Maine, transferred out. And then when I transferred, my credits transferred, but I also transferred my major because I was just a general studies major. So when I transferred my major, it like set me back a year. So technically I should be a senior, but because I changed my major, I'm a junior.
So what is your major again?
Geography major with a minor in GIS.
Interesting. Okay, so you are going full up geography and GIS, despite maybe the cartography side of things isn't like your game, huh?
Yeah, no, it was just one of those classes that I had to take to get the piece of paper.
Well, so what classes do you have in your future to kind of go down this route?
So I'm actually taking Introduction to GIS in September. I'm taking Geography of Wine. And what's the other one? What's the third one? I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. But yeah, I'm excited about the intro to GIS because that's kind of what I'm aiming for here at the end of all this.
No, that'll definitely be a fun one. You'll probably dive into a lot of software and the technical side of things. But like I said, once you get your hands on the actual data, to me, that gets into the fun part, looking at and understanding the stuff being pulled into the software. Because dealing with the software, you're going to deal with like a million tools down the road. And to me, being tool agnostic is the key. It shouldn't matter what tool you're using as long as you understand the data behind the scenes.
Right.
So. But yeah, you're definitely going to get into the fun part. No, that's awesome. So talk to me about the process. Even as a junior, you should be reaching out, planning beyond college, correct? You're talking to companies. What are you doing for attending different events, for getting your name out there for a career down this road?
Yeah. So like I said, last year I was at the UC. I did a bunch of networking out there. I kind of just went around to each little kiosk that they had and just saw what they had to offer. It really didn't matter what they were. I just kind of got out there, got my name out there. And believe it or not, just by going out to UC last year, not even like knowing that I want to be in the industry, the people that were out there were very open arms, I guess you would say, because I would tell them my name, tell them that I was going to Kent State for geography and GIS, and a lot of the people would hand back their cards and say, hey, in the future, give me a call. We could set up an internship, see how things are going. But unfortunately, this year I planned on attending the UC again, but due to COVID, it was virtual. And as a college student right now, I'm working about 45 hours a week doing landscaping. So, between taking summer classes, landscaping, I didn't get to attend as much as I wanted to at the UC this year virtually, but it was still good.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess you got to get where you can get it, right? So,
Yeah.
well, that's amazing. You're doing all that work on the side while you're going to college. So, any prospects, any initial interest of what companies seem interesting to you?
Not like as of right now. I'm kind of still trying to figure out like what I want to do with GIS and like where I want to go. Like, there's some companies that like raised some eyebrows, like the USGS, like stuff like that. Dealing with like military and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I also took a natural disasters class. That was really interesting. I liked like mapping natural disasters. I think would be pretty interesting to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of data in that, and USGS has a lot of natural disaster data between earthquakes, and they even partner with the U.S. Forest Service and a few others to pull in the fire data as well. So yeah, you can pull out a lot of data just to practice with the USGS data alone, just with pulling the spreadsheet data. Those are always one of my favorites to mess with because that's continually updated and they got lots of it. So I feel like I spend most of my time in spreadsheets beyond just before you even get to the GIS software. It's just about conditioning the data. And unfortunately, after decades, you still never get away from Excel spreadsheets or PowerPoints. So awesome. Well, what would you like to know about the industry? What would you like to know about what's out there? And do you have any questions for curiosities?
No. How did you get started in the industry? I always like to hear people's backgrounds on how they started.
Yeah, I know. I sometimes tell this story online, but I don't get that chance to talk about it very often. But no, I actually started in the Air Force. So back in 2005, I joined the Air Force. Started as an imagery analyst. Believe it or not, that wasn't even my first choice. And I'm glad it was. I'm glad I got picked for that because my first top two choices, I think, it was a SEER school instructor or something like that, going down that road, or a crew chief down that road. But I scored too high in the ASVAB, and they're like, yeah, you're going into the imagery. I'm like, and turns out that was kind of my calling. So I went down that road, and they trained me on pretty much all the aerial. I started mostly with aerial platforms, U2, Global Hawk, and the Predator, which was a full motion video drone, and looking at interpreting what's going on those. And then I did a lot with satellite imagery when I was in the Air Force, but I think I did a lot more of it once I left, and I got involved with commercial satellite imagery companies, quite a few of them actually. So, and that's when I'll admit I knew quite a bit, and I got experience quite a bit in the Air Force. But man, when I got out of the Air Force, my exposure to the industry just exploded. I had no idea the industry was as big as it was until I got involved with and volunteered with a few groups. USGIS was USGIF, United States Geospatial Intelligence Foundation. That's a big one. You easily get involved with that, especially as a young professional like yourself. There's others out there. American Geographical Society is a really good one to get involved with. They might through the classes you're participating in, especially with the cartography. I'm surprised they haven't mentioned some of those groups if they haven't already. But they're worth getting involved with. Some of the classes, some of the awareness. That will get you much farther than I would say even the job experience, or just parallel to that. It'll get you just as much. Yeah. Just broaden your horizons. So, I didn't stick with it. I like dabbling with everything. So, not just about imagery, but it got me understanding all the different sensor types out there, not just imagery, but radio frequency data that's out there, wherever other different ground sensors are out there, and how to layer different areas of the electromagnetic spectrum to understand what I'm seeing, not just on imagery, but as the data is coming in. What if I can't see it on imagery? So what is the data telling me parallel to the imagery? So understanding the world from above or parallel was really a fascinating use case. But my job eventually evolved with helping the users, or helping folks on mission, or even basically I helped evolve software. I got tired of the process, the workflows, so I got more involved with the technical side of things and bringing in better software technologies and saying, "Hey, let's use this. Let's move our workflow faster. Let's grab this sensor type. They're coming out with this new imagery sensor. Let's use that one. That type of thing." So my whole job became wrapped around to creating awareness of different technologies, best practices, and educational resources for the people I worked for throughout my whole career. So, and I still do that. These days, I'm more of a consultant, but I have a lot of different hats, and trying to help people understand what's available out there, what they can use, and connecting people towards what their needs are. On top of that, I still do a lot of analysis. So if I have to, I can still pull an imagery order an image myself, analyze it, and send it out the door. So I love still dabbling with the trade craft I was trained in. There's still some passion in that. It's like, you don't never move above that. You can't just move so high that if you move so high and don't like the work that you're doing on the bottom level, I think there's a huge disconnect there. And I feel like you gotta like what you're doing on all levels, and sometimes have some humility, work back at your roots, and learn how it's being done today to be strong on top too. So anyway, I mean, that's a kind of a brief summary, but I worked for a bunch of different satellite imagery companies, but I was in the Air Force for over 7 years. So,
stationed anywhere cool?
Oh, no. Well, I mean, I loved where I was stationed over in Beale Air Force Base, California. But my last duty station was the Pentagon. A lot of people don't like it. That was one of my favorite assignments, because just walking the halls of the Pentagon, you get some humility or you kind of feel, I don't know, humility, humbled. I can't remember the word is for it, but just walking the halls, and these important people were in these offices, and it was just, I worked for 2 years, and I never got over that. Walking when I got sent on a task, and say, "Hey, go talk to this person and get this piece of paper." It's like, that may have been a small task, but it's like, I have to walk through this hallway, go talk to somebody, important general secretary, but I'm in the, passing the halls of the Joint Chiefs, where I get to be in the room right next to them as I'm handing important paperwork to the guy about to walk into the meeting, that type of thing. So there's a lot of really cool moments. And sometimes, when we're in places like that, you get to meet important people, like the DNI, that's the Director of National Intelligence, or different directors of different agencies. And, there might be moments, but they're like, wow, okay, I got to that point where I got to meet this person. And then you see him on the news, or you see him doing really important work that sometimes reaches the history books, and that leaves an impact on me. So I kind of, not to say I feel starstruck, but it's really cool to be a part of something that was bigger. So I love working at the Pentagon, but I also love working at Beale Air Force Base too. So there's a lot of good work being done out there.
It's all about the experience, right?
It's also what you make of it. Right. I know a lot of, I'll give you an example. A lot of folks didn't like working at Beale Air Force Base because it was looked at as a remote base. Yeah. But if you're, if it wasn't next to a big city, so if you're a big city goer, if you like to go out and party all the time, sometimes it wasn't necessarily the base for you. But if you like the outdoors, if you can find something to do for you and not focus on other people, then I think it goes a long way. You're the one who has to make the most of where you are.
Right. And I'm actually going through that right now. I actually deleted all my social media except for that one Twitter account that I had. I actually just made it the other night. I was like, I had all these social medias, and I was just like, I got to get off of them for a little bit. I got to focus on myself, and I'm glad I did, because these past 2 classes that I've been taking have really taken a toll on me. Like this cartography class, I get like 4 days to get all the work done, and in like the past like 3 days, I have done. I get out of work at like 4:30, and I'm doing this class until about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And if I had like any other distractions, it'd be game over.
No, I hear you. I mean, I'm not sure I'd go as far as deleting my accounts. I like my own data. So if I have like 2 years worth of posts or something like that, I'm not sure I can bring myself to delete it all. But I definitely understand disconnecting. You can't. It's hard to have distractions.
I didn't delete my social media. I deleted the accounts out.
Oh,
deleted the apps off of my phone.
Okay, well that's different. No, I hear you. I've been there before. Sometimes I have to completely disconnect and just not. Like, where have you been? I'm like, well, I got other things to do, and I need to take my mind off stuff. So
Right,
it makes
exactly.
sense. But as a technologist, I feel like new social network comes out. I used to be better about this, but a friend taught me to try out something new every single time. Mm-hmm. So there was a point where I was on 10 different social networks at once, just to try them all out, be a part of it. Uh-huh. Don't dabble on the emerging stuff as much, but I still try to keep up with it. And it's a challenge. There's a lot out there.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's awesome. No, nice to hear. How about any other questions while I got you on?
Not off the top of my head. Honestly, like, this is my first podcast, so like I don't think I was as prepared as I think I should have been. But
hey, no, I mean, Late Night Geo, and I'm happy to have you on some other time. So if you, as you're going through your classes, as you're going through your degree, you catch you work on an interesting project, you want to talk about it, you'll see. And I don't have to in Late Night Geo, we don't have to have like just 1 or 2 people on. Mm-hmm. We can have 3, 4, 5 people on. So folks are welcome to hit Project Geospatial up, PM us on Twitter or anywhere else. You can find our contact information, and we'll just talk as a group. And that includes you, Patrick. You're welcome to pop back on anytime. So if you feel like you're more prepared, just want to talk about the cool stuff you're working on, that's what this segment's about. And that's it. It's more ad hoc. It's more freelance, open discussion. It can go anywhere. Sometimes I'm a lot better scripted than I am just these open discussions. But one reason I do stuff like this, even though I'm not the best ad hoc speaker, is just to get practice out there. Yeah. The more I speak, the more I talk to people like this, it gets me practice in talking in the moment. Right. And that can be a challenge to most people because, like I said, I can be really good scripted, but I'm definitely thinking in the moment can be a very big challenge.
No, yeah, and like you said, it makes you think more, like,
oh yeah.
Like, when, like, you could ask me whatever question you want, and I have to like go back in my brain and think of, like, what did I do in this class, or what, you know what I'm saying? So it's good because it helps you think, and it just gets the brain going a little bit.
Well, I'm gonna end the session right there. So I want to thank you for popping on to Late Night Geo with Project Geospatial. And good luck in your classes moving forward. And hopefully you're willing to come on again down the line. And when you're more, versed into the GIS world and just talk about your experiences. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me on. And I will definitely be back in the near future.
Awesome. Well, this is Adam Simmons with Project Geospatial here with Patrik Pearson signing off. Thanks, everybody.